Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, Kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Palolem Beach in Goa in South India, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India, South India, to be exact. Kastuba is a little more south. He's about a few hours south of me in Varkala, and he's heading to Trivandrum. That got renamed, didn't it?
Tiruvananthapuram.
Tiruvananthapuram.
Which means the city of Ananta, which means, the city of Lord Vishnu.
The city's gotten renamed. I like it. Bring it back to the original names.
Yeah,
the colonists, the invaders all said, we can't pronounce this. We're going to change the name. We did that in America, right? A lot. Like Massachusetts, Taconic, right? The Taconic Parkway. They're all like broken Indian names that we couldn't pronounce, or Native American names. But they did that, and then I think it was Modi in the 90s started changing. Nope, we're going back to the original name. I like it.
Tiruvananthapuram. I'm going to go to the temple that the city's named after tomorrow, right? So that's the temple of Padmanabh Swami, or he's Ananta, he's unlimited. He's also on Ananta Shesha there, right? So,
right.
I will have that special darshan. I've been doing a little reading up on the temple. I'll talk about it more tomorrow, I think.
It's an architectural work of art too.
Oh,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, very beautiful.
That was the anyway, I won't get into it. That was the train stop where people were getting out of the train really slow. Do you remember that?
No, that was at Varkala. That was at Varkala.
Yeah, that was going to Varkala, and what happened was
No. It stopped in Varkala, and we were all supposed to get off.
Yeah, and Radhakund was saying, get off the train. Why aren't they getting off the train? It's not like Amtrak where they wait till everybody gets off the train. First of all, the letters of the train stop are not in the English language. So we're like, okay, no, they're not. But they weren't then. They were all in the language. What do they speak there? Malayalam. Anyway, they were like, get off the train. He's like, why aren't they getting off the train?
No, you have to explain
the train.
And then we had a group. Raghunath, you have to explain to people. They don't know the context.
All right, you want me to tell the whole story? The whole story is quite good. Okay, there was about Radhakund. He said, listen.
Who's Radhakund?
We got to get off early in the morning. He's like our tour promoter. And
he's a brahmachari from the Chaupati temple, right?
Yeah, very organized guy. But we had a big group of people. Me and Kastuba were doing pilgrimage together. And we had to, he said, listen, you got to get up everybody like 5:30 in the morning. The train's going to stop. It does not wait. So Raghu, Kastuba, you got to go to each car and make sure they're all waiting by the door. And then you got to say, get off. So we did that. We got up early. You and me were super early. And, everyone's sort of taking their sweet time getting off the train. They're just cruising around. And Radhakund's looking at me, why aren't they getting off the train? Get off the train. And then the train starts literally moving. And he's like, get off the train. What? Get off the train. And then finally everybody's off. And one guy, the young guy on the trip, he was like, sweet guy, but young. He goes, I forgot my bag. So Radhakund runs on a moving train. And he goes, where's your bag? Where's your bag? And he's like, I think it's under my seat. And then all of a sudden you just see Radhakund, He just gets swept away. And where did he get swept away to? Trivandrum, or the new pronunciation for it. So I was like, okay, you guys, we're going to go to the hotel without our director. We'll figure it out. We got there, and then like hours later, because it was far from Barkala, hours later, he comes, he goes, hey, you're never going to believe who I met on the train. The person who runs the admissions to the temple, and he got us all in to go to the temple tomorrow. It was one of those Krishna miracles. Something happens when you're like, have your spiritual trajectory focused, then the universe the universe starts conspiring to work things out in your favor. That's my pronoia philosophy, Prabhu.
Pronoia, yeah, I love
Pronoia. It's working. The universe is working for your evolution.
Okay.
Cheers.
What do you got there? Hold on, what are you drinking? What do you got there? What is that concoction you're drinking?
Some soy beverage.
All right.
Okay. So,
are you even in India there? What is this?
No, Goa is not in India. It's like being in Costa Rica.
Okay.
It's like, we're going to get into India. We leave late tomorrow night, and we're even going to do the show. We're going to leave at 1 a.m. We're going to fly to Udaipur. Jiva's going to Mayapur. Kelly's coming with us. And then we're going to go to Nagpur. We're going to meet Mukesh, and we're going to go our friend Mukesh, and we're going to go to
Srinathji.
We're going to go to Srinathji. I'm going to have lots of exciting stories, but we're going to not miss it. We're going to try to not miss a show as much as we can for all the listeners out there.
Okay.
To keep you guys fresh and in the loop of what's going on.
Can you bring back one massive laddu from?
Yeah, this is the land of sweets that are like as big as cannonballs.
Yeah, they're big.
When I was young, that was exciting. Now I was like, how the people? What are you trying to kill people here? We can't eat those sweets.
But you pass them out. You break it up.
You
and
pass them out.
To people.
Yeah. You don't just eat the entire sweet. Okay, Mara, do you have any announcements there in your nitty world?
Yeah. We have a Bhakti Recovery Group meeting at 1 and 9:30 p.m. today. And there's an asana class with Michelle Berger for our Patreon members at 3:30 p.m. this afternoon.
You know what we did, Kastuba, today? I just want to share this because we sort of a little inspired. We went to a beach, not this beach. This beach is a little touristy. We went to Talpona Beach, Talpona. Incredibly isolated, quiet, 10 minutes away from here. You got to just take a motor rickshaw. Went to there and just started chanting japa on the beach. And then there was like a little village, and me and Maris like, I wonder what's in this village. Went to the village, and then we saw a temple, and we just listened to the temple. And like, it's so amazing how like people there's just kirtan going on in these temples. It says like people are into kirtan. It's just like, it's their thing. It's their jam. It's like time stands still and they get lost in kirtan. It's been going on. You can still find it peppered all over India, really all over wherever there's Hindu. It's just like, that is their connection. It's so beautiful and it's not like there was some big kirtan or 500 people at this old church. It was like 6 people getting together and just glorifying God together. It was so beautiful to hear. It's a great way to live.
Yeah, here in Varkala, the Janardhan temple, they have, like I've been noticing, they have their crew of like professional classical musicians. They play this drums that you hit with a stick. You got 2 sticks and you're hitting the drum.
Those are those are cool. They're like drumsticks.
And then the shanai, which is like, that big long, that's what people think of when they think of like the Cobra Tamer, that thing that they play.
It's like, because you know why? It has no steps or half steps like Western music. It's all. But they say something on the cellular level, it's healthier for you. Like when you hit a gong, it has an effect.
I'm sorry.
It's like a gong. It's just like one ongoing vibration. And when you break the music into steps, it's not as complete. So in all classical music, even harmonium, because harmonium is a Western instrument, but the real good singers of harmonium will be like, oh, no! Their voice is doing that Shania sound. You like that, Jiva? Jiva's laughing at me. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Shania is kind of like one pipe out of a bagpipe or something like that, but and you blow through it.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, it's a reed instrument.
It's got that kind of power to it. And then so they got that team, which is like the real classical team, but then they got more like the folk music, which is like they got 2 guys. They sit right at the door of the temple where you walk in, and one of them's got not like a full-on harmonium, just got the drone thing. It's just like one note, like a little mini harmonium with like drone setting, and then they also have like a bunch of tambourines and a couple other little percussion instruments. But these two guys sit out there and they chant, and they make quite a sound with just their little setup there, and they're there every night just singing and people getting into it, and it is
beautiful.
we need action. We don't get it, like Americans don't. I mean, people get it to the extent that like people that like good music that uplifts you, that there's that people get that. But in general, the idea is you expose yourself to this super transcendental music on a regular basis, and it just it gets in your mind, it gets in your body, it gets in your heart, and it feels good and it purifies you.
It's also, and we've been doing this a lot at Super Soul too, which has been really nice. It's not like an event. I'm going to the Kirtan. It's like, it's just part of your regular practice. Okay, it's nighttime. Let's all come together and sing. It's nice. That's the beauty of living in an ashram and living in a community where, even when I lived by the LA temple for that year, I lived in LA. When I first got married, it was like every evening you bring the kids and you just go to the temple and you sing, and kids are playing around and you're just sitting and singing. And it's just a beautiful thing. It's a great part of regular. It's a great regular to have in your life. And this is what we want to do with Wisdom of Sages. We want to reintroduce staples that will uplift us, that you can walk away with and be like, I like this. I want to keep doing this. And someone was asking me today, it's like, well, what do you get out of these teacher trainings you do? I was like, you know what? You're there for almost a month. You're starting to relearn new habits, and not that you're going to be me or like convert to a Hindu or whatever, but you're going to take something away that can be habitual. And it might be one thing, and take that with you and run with it and play with it and add it to your life to enhance your life. Hello.
I like it.
You there? All right. Are you ready to dive into this?
You got a
sweet
really
butter
bad
pot?
signal right now.
You do or I do?
I'm ready.
Oh, you do.
I do. Hopefully it'll come back.
All right. Well, I've got Miss Mara here. Did you make announcements yet? You already did.
I did. Yep.
Was I ignoring you?
We can dive in.
Okay, well, let's dive in. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being. Unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. And to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Midatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge, and I offer my obeisances to their lotus feet. And we are in the very beginning of this chapter. We're still like, there's a lot here. We're only on text 7, I think, right, Mare?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. What is the actual chapter?
Canto 5, Chapter 5, Text 7.
Big instructions from the dad to the kids. And they're not light. It's not like, be a good boy. It's like heavy stuff getting laid down right now. Bhagavatam is heavy. It hits you over the head sometimes in a heavy way. Okay. Text 7. Even though one may be very learned and wise, he is mad if he does not understand that the endeavor for sense gratification is a useless waste of time. Being forgetful of his own interest, that's heavy. Being forgetful of his own interest, he tries to be happy in the material world, centering his interest around his home, which is based on sexual intercourse, right? And which brings him all kinds of material miseries. In this way, one is no better than a foolish animal. I guess the analogy of the animal is because it's the same type of thing where animals are building their nests, they're having sex. There's other stuff like hunting, going fishing, or feeding rather, and bringing food back to the nest. Sleeping's in there. Then fearing the bigger animal that's coming for you. you want to comment? Can you talk, Kostuba?
Let me
You just-
try. I'm
I
getting
can
a
hear
really
you good.
low signal. You tell me.
I can hear you
Okay, good.
perfectly.
So okay, good. So yeah, as you said, we really need the context for this, and we really need to understand these instructions correctly. Like what is the mood behind them? Because some of the language will sound harsh to us, but this is a father. He's a sage. He's about to leave home. He's about to leave his family forever. His sons forever. They're grown up now. They're going to be the future leaders, and he's sharing really what he feels is a really important message to leave behind. And it has so much to do with not letting the golden opportunity of human life slip through your fingers. And he's showing that if you get just the way the material energy carries you, it just the way most people just go with the flow of it is that you get caught up in material comforts and material pleasures, and and ultimately sex is the one, and he's going to speak about this. Actually, the next verse is like a famous verse where he really kind of lays it down. But he's saying, when he's saying, be respectful to every living being, be respectful to your wife and to your children, and so on. But if you think that that's where the highest spiritual happiness comes from, or that where the highest happiness comes from, you're wrong, and you'll look for it there. And by looking for it where you won't find it, you'll create tensions in life, tensions within the family, wanting expectations from people. It's, as we say, that like the marriage, it's not two people looking at each other to find their happiness. It's two people holding hands, walking towards divinity, right? And so he's sharing that kind of information here.
We use this analogy a lot of you wake up from a good dream and you're like, oh, that dream was so good. I want to go back to bed. I'm going to go back to bed. I'm going to try to re-enter that good dream. That's what sense gratification is. It's trying to I like this dream. Even though it's sort of unreal, it's temporary, it's not fulfilling. I mean, we chase things that repeatedly have not fulfilled us, and we do it again. Running east looking for sunsets. It's a classic one. Or switching them around a little, as Jiva G says, changing seats on the Titanic, trying to think, oh, on this position on the boat, it won't sink. It sinks also. And what we're asked to do is be a little thoughtful about existence. But the problem with thoughtfulness is it's not necessarily fun. But if you can get thoughtful, it'll stop you chasing the dream and just deal. And that's why it goes against what everyone says. Spiritualists, they're spiritual bypassing, they're living in a fantasy world, come back to reality. No, the most real, when we're a spiritualist, we are the most real, because we understand that life is incredibly short. The body can be, torn apart in any number of horrible ways at any moment. What am I doing with this very precious life? How can I not waste another moment? How can I really engage in the most beneficial thing for me and society? Because when I benefit myself spiritually, everybody around me benefits, isn't it? It's not just me that's getting a benefit. My kids will benefit. My spouse will benefit. My community will benefit. If I can be the number one on my A game spiritually, everybody in my community, everybody that's connected with me will benefit. Even people that don't like me will be like, you know what? The back of their mind, they'll be like, that's pretty inspiring. So that's what we're sort of like goading each other towards with this community. It's not just a community of people commiserating with each other. It's a raise the bar community. And that's why we want friends, peers, teachers, where they're holding us to some accountability. Yesterday or the other day, we were saying about our language, right? We want accountability for how we speak. I'm not just going to blurt out any stupid thing or humor at someone else's expense or degrading things. We want subject matter that lifts us higher, makes us stand up taller. I don't know where I got that from, but I was on a roll. Come on back, Kostuba.
Well, now can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, great. So now what the father is doing, Rishabh Dev, is he's gonna it's almost like when you got like a when you play let's say a game of football or something like that, You know, like a team will know, hey, there's a really strong player on that other team. He's their most dangerous weapon, you know. And whatever we do, win or lose this game, we're not going to let that guy beat us, right? We'll double team him, and then we'll let, you know, we know where to focus, right? And so what he's going to share in this next verse is he's in a sense he's doing that if you want to find this, you know, spiritual happiness, this higher spiritual life, he's going to say, well, there's what he calls the he says it's the basic principle of material existence, right? Understand what's the fundamental thing behind it all. When you identify that clearly, put a big circle around it, you're going to have an easier time moving through this world. And that comes in this next verse, which is a famous verse, text 8.
Ready? The attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On the basis of this misconception, what's the misconception? That I'm even a male, right? Which ties to, right? That's the first misconception, that I'm a male, right? Which ties together the hearts of the male and female. One becomes attracted to his body, home, property, and children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in terms of I and mine.
Okay.
So this is where that famous George Harrison concept, I, me, and mine, came from.
Yeah. Aham mameti. It's a few times in the Bhagavatam. Yeah. Aham mameti. I and mine.
I and mine. And why is that? Why is that fallacious? It's fallacious because I'm not even man in the first place. This isn't my spouse in the first place. This isn't my home in the first place. Why? If it was mine, if there can be a mine, I could keep it. What can I keep in this material world? Everything is on loan to me. What to speak my children, what to speak my wife, obvious my stuff I can't keep. If you just think a little deeper, I can't even keep my body. How crazy is that? Is this my body? If it was yours, keep it. You can't keep it.
It's like a pair of bowling shoes or something like that, right? It's like you can't walk out of there with them. You know, you got to give it back.
That's a good one. Bowling shoes. Yeah. So everything just comes with me. Everything just comes with me for a moment. I have it. I hold it. I let go of it. And when we start identifying ourselves with the I, with a capital I, the real identity of I'm a spiritual being, then I start to understand that I have these things for a moment. This isn't my home where I'm going to, this is my home where I'm going to be. And this is where my grandfather's home. And I've inherited this. This is my alma mater. And this is my saving. It's not ours. And to the degree we think it is, you're setting yourself up for disaster. That's what the Bhagavatam says. When I see actually everything is Krishna's, how can I use this best to serve Krishna? How can I use my body? Yeah. How can I use my how can I bring my family closer to connection? That is not fanatical talk. That is reality talk. We're fish that belong in the sea. I can't walk around. I can't take that fish out of the sea and say, see what we got out here? Isn't this wonderful world out here? The fish is like, please, sir, please, sir, please put me back in the sea. I don't want to see your crazy world. That is for the fish to be in the water is not a fanatical thing. That's a very normal thing.
There you go. Now, so that's the aham mameti, right? This misconception, this body is I, right? All of this stuff is mine, you know. As you're saying, we easily adapt that illusory idea, but here he's saying, no, it's foolish. And what leads you to that? What is the basic principle of material existence that's leading us deeper into illusion and deeper into attachments? He identifies it as the attraction between male and female. This is the basic principle of material existence. Now, that's not saying that it's horrible and bad or anything like that, but it's when you misunderstand it that it becomes a problem. And before we go deeper into that, I want to share one thing, Raghu. That is to just, we read, okay, it's the attraction between male and female. That's the basic principle. But without, to share this without speaking about homosexuality might imply that we're like willingly ignoring a large section of humanity. So, it's best that we at least briefly mention this topic. And, I'm not a sociologist,
You're not? I thought you were a sociologist.
Peripheral observation, in life. I'm not. I'm
part-time. You're part-time sociologist, I think.
Okay. But the point is this: is that I think we can all recognize, within society that the masculine and feminine principle, the attraction between the two, also plays out. It plays out not only in heterosexual relationships, but there's a male-female principle of attraction even within homosexual relationships.
Prabhu, though,
Yeah.
I'm also thinking it's like the attraction between male and female. It's just the attraction to a being, whatever that being is. This being can satisfy what I really need. I think that's the real illusion there. There's a being, and based on the grossest way to enjoy, whether it's a boy or a girl or however you want to do it.
Fair enough, but still, I think there's more to it. In other words, he is saying that it's a male and female thing. That's what's said here. So you just look at nature. You look at magnets, right? They have like a northern and like a southern, pole, right? And the opposites attract. You don't know about magnets?
You're like a physicist, aren't you, Kostuba?
Well, I'm a part-time physicist.
All right.
But yeah, like the magnets have, the South Pole and the North Pole, and the opposites attract, whereas the similar and the similar poles repel each other. But here's my point. I'm saying that certainly I'm not saying within every single homosexual relationship. I'm not claiming to be an expert on this, but in general, within homosexual attraction, there is a male-female principle at play. And I'm not even saying like solely sexual attraction, but like even, like the attraction in the sense of just two beings functioning together with their complementary qualities in any number of contexts, right? In other words, two men may live together, two ladies may live together, and one may be more masculine and one more feminine, and they complement each other. And that's just like a natural attraction.
Now I 100% get what you're talking about, but I think you could even make it even more basic. The attraction between male and female, the attraction between anybody trying to fulfill my desires instead of God is a perversion. That's the whole thing, is like this person can fulfill.
I'm not denying.
When I say perversion, I don't mean like a pervert. I mean it's not normal. The normal thing to be satisfied is my connection with God. It's a God-shaped hole in my heart, and only God will fulfill it. I can't expect.
Fair enough, but I'm speaking to this verse and what he just said.
I'm speaking to the verse too. I'm just saying you're going deeper than you have to.
No, I'm addressing exactly what he said. He said that the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. He didn't say there's attraction between any two people. He said the attraction between male and female. So I'm addressing that. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to make one last point, and it's that I'm not saying that this idea of the male and female poles, let's say, within a homosexual relationship necessarily designates one partner to one category, one feminine, one masculine, like permanent. I'm not saying that either. I'm simply saying that the masculine and feminine dichotomy does play out within homosexual relationships. That's all. Fair enough?
Kostuba on homosexuality. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, yeah, on the Kostuba on the
put that on your bio. Part-time.
Yeah. So he's saying that this is he's saying look deep, right? Observe your world, and you will see this playing out left and right. You'll see it within within humans. You'll see it within animals. You'll see it even within human homosexual relations. You'll see it everywhere, that this male-female attraction is playing out. See where it takes you. It has the power. It has a very powerful influence that has a huge potential to take you into the illusion of I and mine, my body, my property. It will take you there. Take note of it, right? And be aware.
Can I share an embarrassing story?
If you wish, please go right ahead.
You're like, if you wish, what's it gonna be?
As long as it's not the Calcutta book fair story.
I got news for you. After your repeated statements about the Calcutta book fair, I put that in the book. That's now in the book.
I knew it was in the book. I thought it was in the book.
It wasn't. I just added it.
Get out.
Thanks to you.
I think it would be easier to read in a book than to hear. So everyone will know eventually.
I know, but they can't make the noises my stomach made. Like, anyway, check this out.
You're giving too many clues.
Listen. Okay. So I remember being a young monk, and it was hard for me to be a young monk because I'm such a flirt as it is, flirting. I like being around girls all the time, and you know, because and if you actually analyze that, why? Because it's giving me some feeling of worth if I can charm someone or make somebody laugh. So I realized like this is a big, what do you call it? This is a, I didn't even realize it was an issue. I just thought like this is a good thing, you know. And so when the senior monks were like, you know, it's not that good that you're a monk. You shouldn't be hanging out with the girls all the time. And so, and I was like, well, if we're not the body, what does it matter? I thought, man, that's a good statement. We're not the body anyway. And he gave me a really good answer. He said, because we aren't the body, but there's no time where you're convinced more that you're a man that when you're hanging out with a beautiful woman.
Oh,
So we're
interesting.
trying to, we're like, oh yeah, like it's right. That at this point, I really think I'm a man. And therefore you don't look for your happiness on a more subtle level. You're still trying to make her laugh or, you know, impress her with something for your ego. You think that was good instructions, don't you think?
Good instruction. Yeah, we may not be the body, but our mind is programmed us to believe that we are, and that's
Yeah.
what we're trying
And
to
a monk
address.
is trying to strip away all the fake pleasure and go to a deeper, real, solid pleasure, which comes through our meditational practice.
Well, that's exactly, when we get to text 10, we got one more text in between, but he's going to begin to explain how to disintegrate that subtle body, right? How to disintegrate all that programming. So we're about to get there. I want to share one more thing. This was a little analogy too, Raghunath. You ready?
Tell me.
This is an analogy I've heard Radhanath Swami share before, but he said, we the practicing yogis, we feel like, oh, I'm trapped in this world, right? It's like, it's so hard to break free, to become free from our desires, to become free from the programmings of our mind, to become free of our habits, to be able to, free from the influence of the modes of material nature. I'm trapped. I'm in a cage, But he said, actually, it's like a cage, but it's a cage with the door open. It's actually like we could walk out of the cage anytime we want, but Maya, or you could say the material energy, has a way of putting just the right food within the cage so that even though the door is open, we stay there in the cage so that we can eat that food.
Ooh, interesting. Right? The door is wide open. But we're like, I like the cage. I like the cage.
There's food in this cage. And so we maintain our existence within the cage. And so here he's saying, what is the general, like, most common food within that cage? It has to do with this attraction between male and female. It's where we think we'll find the happiness. My soulmate, the sexual partner that I'm looking for, that soulmate that I'm looking for, through whom I will find happiness.
And people spend their life looking,
chasing it,
chasing, and then they finally
so
find
much
their soulmate.
heartbreak.
And so many years in, they're like, it's not this person. I thought they were my soulmate. I've got to find my new soulmate. Try to find the original soulmate. Try to find your connection with divinity.
Yeah,
the OG soulmate.
Well, it's a fact. What's the original soulmate? It's soul is the original soulmates.
Nice.
Adi soulmate. Adi Atma. What's the word for mate? Sanskrit for mate. Adi Atma.
Pal. Pal. Go pal.
Mate?
I don't know. Mate.
Patni. Pal is like the protector,
Patni.
Right? Well, that's wife.
Okay, let's go. Let's move on, sir.
We need a Sanskrit expert.
Okay. All right. Mara, bring us back to the
text 9.
Text 9.
When text 9 is also a famous verse. Hit it.
When the strong knot in the heart. I love that. The knot in the heart. The Hridaya Grunti, right? That's the Sanskrit. Hridaya Grunti. That's the knot that ties a person with the body, with the jiva. It's tied together. And we're in the business of trying to cut that knot. When the strong knot in the heart of a person implicated in material life due to the results of his past action, right, is slackened, one turns away from the attachment to the home, to the spouse, to the children. And in this way, one gives up the basic principle of illusion of I and mine and becomes liberated. Thus, one goes to the transcendental world.
Okay.
It seems
That-
like,
now-
all right, you tell me, it seems like it's recommending walking away from material responsibilities.
Well, this verse is speaking. He's speaking on the level of jnana. Like there's a blend of jnana mixed with the bhakti coming up here, right?
Yeah.
He's speaking about bhakti, but he's speaking about it with a strong sense of renunciation based on jnana, based on clear knowledge, based on discriminating between what's real and what's illusory. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, great commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam, writes, he says, this verse explains when liberation takes place. He says, when the knot in the heart, and then he says, in the mind, right? So like when we say in the heart, we're talking about that part of the mind where we hold what is most dear to us.
Right.
So he says,
Right.
when the knot in the heart, in the mind, though bound by karmas of the jiva, becomes loosened, right? How do you loosen that? He says it becomes loosened by practice of jnana and vairagya, knowledge and detachment. Then one becomes detached from the condition of husband and wife, that male-female attraction, he's saying. Having given up the cause, the covering of ahankara, the covering of our false identification, one becomes liberated and attains the supreme abode. So he's saying that knowledge and detachment, this is the practice by which we loosen the knot in the heart. Otherwise, we become very tightly tied, But you have to examine it. You have to analyze it. You have to think about it, and the detachment comes with it. This reminds me. I think I've shared this before, but the Twilight Zone story. You know that one I've shared before. Raghunath?
About the what?
The Twilight story from the Twilight Zone.
Oh, tell me.
It's a good story to explain, like explain the relationship between knowledge and detachment, right? And when we say knowledge, we're not talking about any trivial knowledge, but we're talking about analysis of the self, analysis of the material energy, really like differentiating between what's illusion and what's real. And so there's this, and I remember Radhanath Swami once said, he said, it's like I'm a Swami. I don't generally encourage people to watch television, but he said, but I would not discourage someone from watching the Twilight Zone because there are many important messages shared through it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Radhanath Swami approved. Let's hear it. Let's binge Twilight Zone. Mara, we need some regulated sense gratification. Okay.
So for those that aren't familiar, the Twilight Zone was a television show that was on back in the late 50s, early 60s, black and white, right? And it was each show had like a completely different cast of characters and a completely different theme. They weren't connected to each other. They were like short plays or something like that, short stories. And so in one of these stories, it starts off, it looks like you're in the desert. It looks like it looks like a vision of the desert. And but then the narrator says, this actually isn't a desert. You can see in the desert, like there's a shack there and there's a man walking around. He says, this isn't a desert. This is actually an asteroid, and it's in the future when rather than put people in jail cells on Earth, they fly the criminals off and they leave them kind of in solitary confinement out on an asteroid somewhere, right? And that and then it mentions that, but that the prisoner there, he's not dying of like a thirst in the desert. He's dying of loneliness, right? And then it shows a rocket ship comes and lands on the asteroid, and a man gets off, and he's kind of like the prison representative, like the prison guard in a sense. And he comes every 3 months and delivers supplies to the prisoner. All right, with me?
Keep me going.
Okay. So now he says to the prisoner, he kind of sympathizes with him. He says, like, a lot of people back home, the prisoner saying to him, hey, come on, hang out with me here for a while. Let's play some cards. Let's just talk. I'm all alone out here. He's suffering. And he says, I wish I could stay and spend some time with you. But the Earth is moving and the asteroid is moving. So if I don't take off real soon, I'll never make it back to Earth. And he says, but, I wanted to share something with you, that a lot of people back on Earth feel that you were unfairly convicted. And they're looking at your case again. And I'm hoping the day will come when I come here I won't be dropping off supplies. I'll be coming to pick you up and bring you back to Earth. But he said, but meanwhile, I know you're really suffering all alone out here. So I brought you a gift, and I hope this will make your stay here a little bit easier. And it's a big wooden crate. And he says, I have to go now. And he gets up in the spaceship, he takes off, right?
What's in the
So now-
crate?
What's in the box, right? So he opens up the crate, and inside the crate is a robot. But it's not like it's an incredibly realistic human robot that looks just like a very attractive woman, right?
Mhm.
And so as soon as he opens up the crate, it's like the oxygen set it off, and it goes into like action. And it seems as like it's a perfect facsimile of a human woman, right? And she turns to him and she says, "Hello, my name's Alicia. What's your name?" Okay, you with me, Raga?
Yeah. It's like I dream
Okay.
a genie is happening here.
That's not true.
Hi, master. How can I serve you? What?
Well, it's like that, except it's not a real genie. It's a robot. And so he knows this. And this is my point. He knows, he has jnana, he has knowledge. He knows that this is not a human being, that this is a machine. And because he has that knowledge, what else does he have? Detachment, right? He has vairagya, jnana and vairagya. Because he knows this is illusory, this is not a real woman, he's like, I'm not going to play this game. I'm not so pitiful, right, that I'm going to be sitting here like relating to a machine as if it's a real human being. I'm not playing this game. I'm going to have nothing to do with this. But she keeps coming on like, no, I want to be your friend. And he's like, leave me alone. I'm not going to get into it. And he's determined. He's got knowledge and he's got detachment because he can differentiate what's real and what's unreal. And but she keeps persisting, like, no, let us talk and be friends. Finally, he pushes her away kind of hard.
Her head
And when he
falls off.
No, her head doesn't fall off, but she hits the ground kind of hard,
Yeah.
And then she turns and looks up at him. And when she looks up, a little tear comes down from her eye around over her cheek.
It's a human.
So
It's a human robot.
well, yeah. When he sees that it strikes like a sentimental chord in his heart. Jnana is in one sense, a lot of times it's kind of like hardening your heart to sentimentality.
Sure.
Like, but when that tear came in, he kind of softened up. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you." And that was the beginning of
The love affair,
right?
the beautiful love affair.
The love affair, but like his ignorance. He's going into, Om Agyana, like we chant every morning, Om Agyana, like Agyana.
I was born in the darkness of ignorance, in love with robots.
Right. Well, now it kind of fast
You know
forwards.
what? Love the robot. Love the robot. That's how I feel.
Raghunath,
if you want my input on that show,
I don't. I do not want your input because it's messing everything up. Okay. Basically, what you just told people in the analogy is everybody buy into material illusion, dive in deep.
Illusion, it's fun.
Yeah.
Well, if you're alone on a planet, perhaps maybe.
Yeah, Raghunath, no, the point is our deeper spiritual happiness is something beyond this. So let's try not to confuse the thing now.
Okay, all right.
Let me stick with it, okay? So now it kind of fast forward. He's walking with the robot. He's talking with the robot. He's laughing with the robot. He's holding hands with the robot. He's falling in love with the robot, right?
He's in love with the robot. Okay.
He fell in love with the robot, and now he's in illusion, right? So now this is what happened. The rocket ship comes back sometime later, right? And the guy comes off the rocket ship, and he tells the prisoner, he says, I got great news for you. They looked at your case. They found that you're innocent. And I'm not here to bring supplies this time. I'm here to bring you back to Earth. And the guy's like, oh, that's such great news. I've been hoping that this day would come. And now that day has finally come. This is so great. And so then the guy says, but the thing is that there's only so much, or no, he says, so if you need something, but he says the Earth is moving and the asteroid is moving, so we got to go right now. So if you need to grab something, grab it and let's go. And the guy says, grab it, grab something. What do I need? I'm going back to Earth. Everything I need is over there. Let me just, her name, the name of the robot was Alicia, right? When she first said, my name is Alicia. What's your name? So he says, let me just grab Alicia here and we're ready to go. Right? He said, Alicia, what? He said, Alicia.
We can't fit her in.
No, well, what he said was, there's only so much fuel on this rocket, and so we can only carry so much weight back. When I said grab something, I meant like a shirt or something like that. I didn't mean
right.
So he said, no, you got to come with me alone right now. We got to go. And he's like, but I can't leave Alicia behind. Right, so now he's attached.
This is like the guys who are dying of lung cancer, but they can't stop smoking.
It's any case.
They're in love with illusion.
Yeah. So,
or they're attached to illusion.
This is the point, is that the man could see the prison guy the prison representative could see he's in so much illusion right now that he can't step up onto this spaceship, right? He's accepted something that's not real for being real, and he's so deeply attached to that illusion that he can't take. This is real important. He's so deeply attached to his illusory relationship that he can't take this easy step forward to his own freedom. It's like the cage door's open. The door's open, right? Just step onto the rocket ship and go home. But he got attached to this illusory food in the cage. And he recognized he's not going to be, we need to go now, and he's not going to be able to do this. He doesn't even know what's for his own good fortune.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
He's so lost in illusion. So he takes out a gun. He points it at the robot. And the guy's like, no, don't do it. He pulls the trigger, he shoots the robot. And she goes down. She hits the ground hard. And when she hits the ground, her face comes off. And underneath the face, you can see the gears and the wires and all of that, you know?
Mm.
And then the poor guy, you know, he's like, oh, man. Oh. And then he says, you can see it's raw. It's like it was, you know,
all right, we gotta watch this episode.
Having his illusion stripped from him, it was just like rough and raw. But then
what else do you recommend for us to watch on TV, Kostuba?
Well, how about I finish this one first?
Okay.
You know, we could tell you about Seinfeld if you want. But it was just like this raw, rough experience. But he knows I was an illusion. He turns up and he looks at the man. And he says, "Thank you." You know, like thank you. Like it was hard for me to break that attachment, but I needed to break that attachment. You broke my attachment. Thank you. I'm no longer an illusion. I realized that was an illusion. And now I know what reality is, and he steps back up onto that rocket ship, right? So now that he had his knowledge back, he had his detachment back, right?
These writers are like spiritual masters.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Amazing.
Right?
All right.
Yeah,
I'm into it.
So this is the point here that's being said. Let's read this verse again. When the strong knot in the heart of a person implicated in material life due to the results of past action is slackened, right? Due to their karma, they have these attitudes and these attachments. It becomes slack. One turns away from their attachment to home, wife, and children. In this way, one gives up the basic principle of illusion, I and mine, my wife, my kids, my home, right? And becomes liberated. Thus, one goes to the transcendental world. So knowledge is the thing. But again, this is kind of like, it's speaking from a heavily Gyannic point of view here, right?
All right.
All right. Now, the next verses, I mean, in one sense, we do have a few minutes left, but these I think it would be good to kind of break it here, you know?
Yeah.
Because these next verses, they're long and there's a lot of details in them, and it'd be a great place to start. It's not tomorrow, right? Because tomorrow we're going to do
tomorrow's our special
Sutra.
day.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
but the next day,
not Saturday, because that'll be Q&A.
Okay.
So probably next Monday we'll start there. All right.
All right, Prabhu.
Twilight Zone, Raghunath.
All right, it was great. I'm going to get into it. I really haven't watched that show in years. Before I was like into spiritual things, I just watched it.
Did you used to stay up late to watch it when you were a kid?
I can barely remember, truthfully.
I remember it was on like at midnight, and so like in the
something like
little
that.
Kids, you'd stay up late to watch it.
Some type of Channel 11 rerun or something like that.
Right, it was Channel 11. It was a little creepy. So when you're up alone at midnight like that, watching that show as a little kid, it was like, you know, it was really something.
Exactly. Creature feature.
People are asking, what about Friday? But Friday, we're saying Friday we're going to read tomorrow's Friday. I'm going to go to the Padmanabh Swami temple, this ancient Lord Vishnu temple.
Tomorrow's Thursday, sir.
Tomorrow's Thursday, right? So Friday I won't do the show. You'll do the show. So it's not Thursday. Oh, so you could pick up on this on Friday, Raghunath. That's it. Yeah.
All right. This one's on me. Friday.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All right,
Prabhu. Let's hit that music and wait. We got takeaways. We got Mara's.
We're all spaced out.
Her gig right now.
Yeah. The universe is working for our evolution.
Boom.
Pronoia right there.
Mm-hmm. Make Kirtan a daily staple. Don't try and re-enter the dream.
No.
Spiritualists are the most real.
Most.
When I advance spiritually, everyone benefits.
Do they?
Yes.
It's a raise the bar community.
Oh, I like that.
The cage door is wide open.
The cage door is wide open.
There you
The
go.
body is like a rented pair of bowling shoes.
That's a good one. You just rattled that one off.
It came to me in the moment.
It's a rented pair of bowling shoes.
Oh, hey, there's
Find
one
your-
that you can't miss. Is there one about the soulmates?
Which about what?
Soulmates.
Oh yeah,
Soulmate?
yeah, that's coming. Find your original soulmate.
There
Your
you
OG
go.
soulmate.
That one.
Oh.
I thought we'd go with
And-
Atma and Paramatma are the original soulmates, but that's good too.
Okay. Alrighty.
Also good. And cultivate knowledge and detachment, and don't fall in love with a robot.
Don't fall in love with a robot, people. That's the message you came to hear today. We're just falling in love with robots. Take off that face of yours. I want to see the gears ticking under there, Mara. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Oh, it's a spiritual realm we live in. Trying our best to figure out the spiritual realm within this material world. It's a tricky little game. I'm glad I have all of you guys. Thanks for being part of this community. Wisdom of the Sages community saves my life. You guys are lifesavers. Because the material world is collapsing on a regular basis. And we have people to keep us buoying, floating above the sea. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. If you like what we're doing, make sure you go to Apple Podcasts and write us a review. Give us a 5-star review. Or go to YouTube. Check out us on YouTube. That way you can see the faces if you're listening to this on a regular podcast. Go to YouTube, write some comments, subscribe, hit that bell. Leave a comment. And also, if you like what we're doing, hey, this is community-supported podcast. That means for the cost of one Venti drink at Starbucks, you can make a 1-month contribution to Wisdom of Sages, and it helps keep our boat floating on the Arabian Sea. Thanks, everybody, for being part of this family. You're wonderful people, and I love you, and let the magic continue to flow. Remember to share all these stories and call your friends. Tell a friend. Tell your friend, oh, it's Walk on Wednesday. You know who I want on Walk on Wednesday? I want the Page Family Bhakti on Walk on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
I know, it's the end of the show, but we'll do it maybe next Wednesday.
I saw Page Family Bhakti playing. What instrument was it? She was playing some Bach suites or concertos. So she was like awesome on violin.
Oh yeah, she's violinist.
Yeah, for
Hard
real.
instrument to play, Page Family Bhakti. We're impressed.
Radhe.